I still feel like I'm fully unwrapping this, but like, I think just over time, I've learned what I need by not doing it. And so I'm like, why am I feeling so horrible? And then I'll like look back and like, oh, because I was alone all week and I didn't see anyone.
Welcome to Mommispace. My name is Brianna Bernhard, your hostess, and I am a new mom. I selfishly created this podcast to get some advice and inspiration from the moms in my community who are doing amazing things while raising their families. I've realized motherhood is hard, but knowing I'm not alone in this call makes all the difference, and I hope you feel refreshed as you listen. Welcome to the tribe. Welcome back to Mommispace. I am here today with the lovely Lana Cruz. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm super excited to do this.
Yeah, I am so thrilled to talk about your motherhood journey as well as your journey of like being an entrepreneur, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a little background. I met you through a mutual friend in Redding, California, and had the great pleasure of running into you actually just last week at your pop-up shop.
Yes.
And got some really beautiful pieces and just felt overall loved and encouraged. So it was so sweet, and I'm so grateful that you said yes to talking today. So can't wait to dive in.
Yes, me too.
Before we do that, though, would you go ahead and just tell us a little bit about yourself? Like, what's home life look like? Where are you located?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm married to Chris, and we have a son. He's 20 months. His name is Solomon, and we live in Northern California in Redding. My husband is a pastor at Bethel Church, and he runs the young adults ministry there. And then I am a stay-at-home mom. Recently started a business called Adar Shop, which is women's vintage clothing and distressed denim. And everyday life kind of looks like we get up, start the day, always have breakfast together, which is great because sometimes evenings can be a little bit busy, or because of my husband's job, he has to be out in the evening. So breakfast is always kind of a good start to our day, and we always start with that, which is really nice. And then every day just kind of looks different. And with this new shop that I've started, I kind of do that. I don't have a structure for it yet. It's kind of sporadic, but it's kind of different every day, but I kind of take it as it comes.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, sweet. Yeah. Okay, so I'd just like to start off with asking you, like, first of all, what does Adar mean?
Yeah. So Adar is my middle name. So
oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Ever since I ever thought about, maybe one day I'll have a business. My husband and I were both like, Adar would be a sweet name because it's just, it's unique, and then it has that personal connection as well. But I think also the significance of the name, I looked it up a while back, and the month of Adar is the month that the Jewish culture still celebrates it, and it's the month that Esther freed the Jews.
Oh my gosh, I just got chills.
Totally.
That is so cool.
Yeah, so it feels like so like rich with meaning, and then also just simply it's that personal connection to me.
Wow, that is so special.
Yeah.
I knew there's probably a cool meaning behind it, but that's like way cooler than what I
good.
Yeah. Okay, so it sounds like you have kind of always been an entrepreneurial person. Is that true? Like talking about businesses and stuff. Has that been a passion in your life?
I don't, even to say that feels kind of weird of like, oh my gosh, entrepreneur. I would have never thought, but I've always been a dreamer like that. Most of my life, I've always just like dreamt about like what I would do when I grew up, and I still am dreaming about that.
Yeah.
And so I think that I've always kind of had an idea, or like I've always had a dream in my head of like, oh, I'll do this. Like one day and I feel like I've gone through like multiple different things in my mind. And so this is kind of the first like real step towards, or like this is the first time I've actually created a business. Like I've done blogs or things like that. But yeah, I've definitely just always been a dreamer for sure.
Wow. That's so cool. So I love to kind of talk about passion, and the things that like we as moms are still passionate about in addition to being a mom and like raising a family. So how would you say like being a mom fuels your passions in life and dreaming rather than taking from them?
Yeah, I really like this question. Well, for starters, before I became a mom, I was actually pretty afraid of being a mom. But then when it came time to like, we were getting closer to the time that we said we wanted to start having kids, I was just really needing to talk with the Lord about this.
Yeah.
And he said something to me that was like, all right, game changer, let's do this. And it was the thing of, he said, Lana, becoming a mom is not going to take away a part of who you are. It's actually going to reveal another facet of who you are.
Wow.
And so immediately I'm like, oh my gosh, like what is there to find? Like, what is there to discover? Like I've been discovering all my life, but there's more. That definitely did.
So cool.
Yeah. It didn't get revealed right from the beginning. More so, the anxious and worrying Lana came out in the first few months. But eventually, it feels like just like more of who, like this part of me, this side of me, this facet of me has been like revealed more and more. I think because there's nothing so refining as becoming a mom. It just kind of pushes you to your end to then discover like, oh, this is what I possess. This is what I actually have in me when I'm pushed to my end.
Wow.
And it really, I think when it comes to like what it revealed in my passions or how it fuels my passions is that it removed all of the fluff for me. So I think before I had the time and the space to kind of try every pipe dream or everything that came into my mind. I'm like, yeah, I'll try that. But being a mom, it's like my focus had to be like laser focused because it's like I didn't have the time to do everything. So it forced me to have to really dig deep and like find out, okay, Lana, what is it that you actually would love to pursue? And then that's where like it came back to like the fashion realm. I'm like, I would love, like, I have that desire to influence the fashion industry. And so it forced me to have to like be really intentional and really focused. And then, over and over again, like in all aspects of motherhood, which then is leaking into like my passion world, is the thing of I have to believe in myself. Like I am the one doing this. I have to be the one to own it and believe in myself, trust myself, and go for it. So it's like nothing has made me like has forced me into that place than motherhood has.
Yeah, that's so good. Wow. Oh, that's amazing. I am just getting inspired listening to you. I feel like I'm in this season of like, oh, wow. Yeah, I can't really juggle like 5 different things right now.
Totally.
Like I totally get that feeling of like, you got to focus. Otherwise you won't get anything done.
Totally.
Like, that's so good.
Hmm.
Do you have any like practical ways that you that helps you stay inspired and passionate in the day-to-day, like when stuff gets hard or like do you have a bad day or like what does that look like?
For sure. I definitely feel more I do better when I am a happy person. Like I have a better perspective on life and just everything when I am happy and doing well. So I think I just always, obviously I'm not perfect at this and I forget the things that I need and then I end up like in a puddle and having a meltdown by the time Chris gets home and I'm like, wait a minute, I think I forgot something along the way. But I just have to like which I think that's, I have to make sure that I'm doing well. So that's like staying in community with friends, like making sure I'm seeing my friends, making sure I'm staying connected to God, and like worship is a big thing for me. I'm like, that just always brings me closest to him in the fastest way. I'm like, God, I need you. And just making sure I'm doing something creative and associated with my passion. But then also, whenever I like get narrow focused on the everyday can seem really mundane and boring and like, what am I doing with my life? That whenever I can remind myself to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. So like not just that day or that week even, and like look at the bigger picture of my life. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like my life is awesome.
Yes.
But it's when I'm not doing well, I get very, very narrow focused. And so I have to pull back.
So good.
And then also keeping the right people in front of me that inspire me. Like, and because sometimes not like there's my friends and my community and the people that I love here, but then also like the people that are doing what I would love to do even from afar. Like I keep reminding myself of them, and I'm like, right, yes, like I want to do that. Like that inspires me. So like keeping those people in front of me and in my mind.
Yeah. That's so good. Oh, taking notes always. I feel like I say that to everyone my guests, but I'm just like, this is so refreshing to like hear every time. So great.
Yes, I'm with you. I was taking notes on all of your podcasts. Like, yes.
Yay,
Mom's
good.
right.
Oh, right? I know. I love that there's like so many different perspectives and like different tips and tricks or whatever that we use. And so we got like a whole arsenal of weapons.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay, so I like to ask kind of how you manage your time and take care of your own heart. And I'm gonna switch it up. I usually ask that one towards the end, but I'd like to just kind of go on this flow because you're kind of already in that space already. But what are some ways, I mean, you've kind of already touched on it, that you manage your time and take care of your heart?
Yeah. I still feel like I'm fully unwrapping this, but like I think just over time I've learned what I need by not doing it. And so I'm like, why am I feeling so horrible? And then I'll like look back and like, oh, because I was alone all week and I didn't see anyone. I'm very much a person that gets filled up and fueled by other people. And so I've learned the need that I need to see, and not just like strangers, like I need to see my people. I need to see my friends and people that I love. If not daily, then definitely weekly. So like going out and seeing a friend or going on a walk or whatever. Time with God, like I was saying before, usually my biggest struggle is I deal with anxiety, or like I'll just get like locked up in anxiety. And when I had Solomon, I'm like, I need to teach myself how to play the guitar so that on a moment's notice, I could just sit down and play and sing. And so honestly, that has been like a huge thing for me recently. I'm like so locked up and anxious, and I just sit down and I start singing and like worshiping. And it just really, it's like such a practical thing, but so beautiful. And like, it just like brings me straight to the Father and his perspective and his, even just his comfort, and like, it's okay. Time with my husband, making sure that like we have a date, we have a pretty rigorous, is that the word?
It works.
Every week we do a date night. And so even if like there are no other nights that we spend together, we'll always have one night that we have where it's like we can connect. I don't like being in the house for too long, so I have to make sure that I get out of the house. And then also just doing something that I love, that I'm passionate about, that feels creative, or that feels like that part of me is getting out. So kind of, it's like I've had to kind of find all my needs, and when those are being met, I feel pretty good. I'm like, okay, I can take on life. I can build these blocks and read this book for the 10th time in a row. We're good.
Can run a business. No big deal. That's awesome. Okay, so I kind of wanted to ask you a little bit about your love of fashion and kind of like where did that come from? Did you go to school for fashion? And kind of what's your process with your shop? I'd love to
Totally.
hear more about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I did not go to school. And funny enough, I was asking myself this the other day of like, why did I also like, because usually when it comes down to me, like finding my heart and like what is in it, it's
Yeah.
come back to fashion so many times in my life. And I'm like,
Wow.
where did that come from? But, um, and thinking back, like my mom loved clothes, my grandma loved clothes. She was
Oh,
she sewed someone's wedding dress. I don't know. She's just like an amazing
wow.
seamstress. And so I think I'm not sure where it came from, but I've just always loved clothes. And then the thing that I find really fun is that growing up, my family, or like my mom and my sisters and my grandma, would go thrifting all the time.
Oh,
I think
yes.
one, because of money, it was
Yeah.
cheap.
Say.
And then two, because I think we just all loved the hunt of like finding something amazing
Mm,
for so cheap. And so then
yes.
when I started Adar Shop and kind of wondering, like, I knew I wanted to start a shop, but like, what did I have available to me? I'm like, oh, I've got thrift stores available to me, and I've been thrifting my whole life. So it was just almost like the Lord, like as I was looking for clothes the first
Oh,
time going out, he was like, Lana, I've been preparing you. Like, you know
wow.
what to look for because you've been thrifting your whole
That's
life. And like,
so cool.
even looking back, like I used to get teased because I would wear thrift store shirts to school,
Yep.
and people would be
Oh,
like,
yeah.
ew, gross, you're wearing a thrift store shirt. But I'm like, look at me now. I've got
Yes, that's
everything.
so awesome. I totally did that in high school. I looked like a ragamuffin most of the
Yes.
time, but it was so worth it, right? Like,
Totally.
oh,
Yeah.
that's so cool.
Yeah. And it's just always felt like a fun outlet for me. I'm like, oh, like I remember graduating from high school and feeling so free because I'm like, I'm no longer under the watching eye of all of these other girls in
Mm,
my class. Like I can just
yes.
wear. I remember buying this sweater that was like not even ridiculous, but
Yeah.
I remember buying it and feeling like, oh my gosh, I can wear this finally confidently
Wow.
without
Oh my
anyone like gonna make fun of
gosh.
me.
That's so sad,
I
but so
know.
awesome at the same time.
Oh God.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So it's definitely like ingrained in you, like
Yeah.
from a young age. That is
Yeah.
so cool.
And like watching Stacey London on
Mm-hmm.
oh, it's my
What not to wear?
yes.
Is that?
Yes, that's what it
Yes.
is.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh my gosh,
Love
love
it.
that show.
Oh, so good. It's so funny because like if I would get on a like sometimes I would like binge it if it was like on
Yes.
TV, right? I'd just like keep watching it. I'd totally like I'd go out into the world and like start like analyzing people like, oh my gosh, you look so good with like this and this, like even though I probably couldn't do it for myself very
Yeah.
well. Like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Um, so as of right now, it's like a pop-up shop, right? Like you don't have necessarily one specific location. Are you moving around? Do you have plans to open a shop? Like what do you dream about for that?
Yeah, yeah. So the whole idea for this shop kind of came out of nowhere. Like it felt like it was the Lord kind of inviting me into it. So
Hmm.
I still feel like I'm a bit on the like just kind of taking each step at a time. But from the beginning, he kind of like unveiled this thing of like, hey, you could buy vintage and you could just pop up for the day. Like you don't need a permanent space.
Hmm.
So it was just like he opened my eyes to how possible it was
Yes.
to
Okay.
just start something. So as of now, it is just a pop up. So I'll either like rent out a location for myself and pop up for the day, or like I just did a market and I was set up there for about a month, and I
Okay.
was open on the weekends. That's where I saw you, and
Oh,
then.
okay.
And then I'm going to be doing another market coming up at the beginning of December just for a full day.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, as of now, it's just pop-up form, and I'm not even fully sure yet what the full picture is. I keep like
Sure.
asking the Lord, I'm like, okay, God, what is the
Hmm.
full picture? But I don't have it yet, but it feels like he's so leading me through it. And so I'm kind of just taking it one thing at a time.
That's awesome.
Now. Yeah.
I love it. Well, I'm sad in some ways because I'm far away from the shop, but I'm stoked for that journey. And and like we'll put the links to your shop and Instagram and everything on the show notes for this, so that way people can kind of get a look at it, see what you look like. And you often will do like little tips on like how to dress for certain seasons or whatever, which I love. So that I can take, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, I like to go into the mom guilt question.
Yes.
Have you experienced it? And if so, like, how do you deal with it? How do you overcome that?
Absolutely. I deal with it. And I think that especially in the beginning of like when I first had my son, I had no idea what I was doing. And you really can't. Like, there's not really, you can read books, but there's not really anything. Yeah. So I remember in the beginning, people would tell me all the time of like, you'll know what to do. You'll know what to do. It's your son or your daughter. Yeah. And I'm like, I have absolutely no idea what to do. Someone please tell me what to do.
Yes.
But then, which then like leads into the thing of like, oh my gosh, I'm doing everything wrong. I am not doing that, whatever that person's doing. I'm not doing that. But then I think just over time, I realized and started to notice that there were things that I was okay with doing. And then there was things that I wasn't okay with doing, or like, oh, I would actually like to do it this way, or I actually don't care about that thing as much as another mom does. And so whenever I can tap into that thing of like truly like finding the thing that or the way that I would want to do it, and that I feel okay with doing it, if I can like tap into that thing, I don't feel the guilt. But it's it's comparison. Whenever there's comparison, then I feel guilty. But when I just like do my own thing and just follow what I would want to do, I feel good. And then another funny thing is that every time my husband stays at home or is watching our son, I'll come home and find out what they had done in the day and discover he has absolutely no guilt. I'm like, I don't think there's such thing as dad guilt. And it will inspire me so much, because I'm like, what? Like, you pinned him off in the living room and put on a show and cleaned the entire house, and you didn't feel bad at all?
Yeah.
And so just from the beginning, I've always been like, wait, you don't feel that? Crazy. Okay, maybe I don't have to either.
Yes. Oh, that's a great word.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, cool. I also love to go into legacy and talking about what kind of legacy you want to leave for your children. So what do you think about when you hear the word legacy and when you think about your son and his future?
Totally. It's not something honestly, it's not something I would think about a lot, but I think just having this question, or knowing that you were going to ask me this question, it did make me think about it, which was probably a good thing.
It's awesome.
Because it's like, we're going to leave them a legacy no matter what. So hopefully it's a good one.
Sure.
But if I was intentional about it, I think that I would want to leave to all of my children the ability or the like reality of having a healthy, alive relationship with God, like having it be healthy and not jaded, or whichever way that we all get counseling for of our perspective of God. Like, I would love it if they could grow with that like healthy, full relationship with the Lord. And then also growing up with a healthy, loving marriage as like the cornerstone of the family, like mom and dad. And then I think because for so much of my life, I've been about like discovering your passions and pursuing them. I think that's a big thing as well, that I would want my children to know that like you have passions inside of you. You have things that make you come alive, and like not having the fear to pursue them or go after them and just like try things. And I think that would be a huge thing that I would want to push them to do. Like, what do you love? Like, let's find it and let's go after it.
Yeah, that's great. Love it. Awesome. Okay, well, I'd like to end with some fun questions, just to kind of get to know you a little bit better. Well, this first one, not necessarily, but whatever. Um, this one's more like
Yes.
selfish because I like am looking for different things. But like, is there a favorite product for yourself or for your kiddo that you feel like at this point you could not live without?
Yes. I think one of the products that we have gotten since having him, which I'm like, oh, game, like best thing ever, was getting a backpack diaper bag. Because
Yes.
even before having kids, carrying bags in like that horrible moment when you like bend down and the bag like falls off your shoulder and like whips you in the face, you're
Yeah.
like the biggest frustration. You want to just like throw your
Uh,
bag. So I'm like, I will not have
yeah.
that happen to me while I'm carrying a bag. So that has been a huge thing.
That's
We love our
awesome.
backpack. And I think Chris then feels confident carrying it as well, too. So
There you
yeah.
go. Do you have like a specific brand or like kind that you like
The
best?
one that we have is by the Honest Company, actually. And it's
Oh,
beautiful.
okay.
It's just like black with gold zippers. So it just looks really cool,
Oh,
too.
sweet.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then for me, product of choice is dry shampoo
Yes. Oh,
because who
yeah.
wants to wash their hair? No one.
I mean, I was literally just like playing with my hair and I'm like, oh my word.
Yes.
I need
Yes.
something right now.
And the
Some
yeah,
love and
and the
care.
discovery of brown dry shampoo because my hair is brown and I'd always have that like
Yes.
white film and I'm like, wait a second,
Uh-huh.
brown dry shampoo.
Do you have a specific brand for that as well?
I'm looking for one at the moment because the first one I tried, my hair looked awesome, but I had a horrible headache and felt dizzy the whole day. So,
Oh my gosh. What kind was that so we can
ooh,
avoid it?
well, I've heard other people love it, but it's by
Oh no.
Batiste. So their
Okay.
product is
I don't know
awesome,
it.
but just for some reason, I was super sensitive to it.
Okay. Well, I was asking because I actually had another mom on the show a little while ago that she has her own like little company that she's worked on called the Mama
Yeah.
Box. And one of the things that they like one of the boxes, it's kind of like the idea she and a mom were talking like, dude, when like postpartum, people bring over food and like toys for the baby. It's like, hey, what about me?
Yes.
Like, can you bring me something like dry shampoo, right? So one of the boxes they have has like this cute like baseball cap and like a dry shampoo brush and then this dry shampoo that's called Stranded.
Okay.
And I forget who made it.
I'll look that up.
But it has like yeah, they have like for red hair, brown hair, and blonde
Oh,
hair. So
perfect.
I'm hopefully gonna try that soon and yeah, I'll let you know how
Oh,
it goes. But just in
brilliant.
case, just in the meantime, yeah, I'll send you a
Yes.
link. We'll put the link
Yay.
in the show
Good,
notes here
good.
too. There you go. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so do you have a favorite holiday tradition with your family yet that you'd like to share?
Um, I feel like we don't have that yet. I think we're still trying to figure that out. Um,
Sure.
Especially with Solomon. Chris and I we
Yeah.
would like buy a separate gift for each other to open on Christmas Eve
Mm.
morning because we go and have Christmas
Oh.
Day, like Christmas Eve night and day with his family because they live in town. And then I guess this is kind of a tradition. But
Sure,
we
sure.
have Christmas Day with Chris's family. And then usually, like the day after Christmas, we fly home to my family, which is in Canada.
Oh,
So
wow.
I guess that's our tradition. We travel,
Okay,
yeah,
that's great.
travel to see family in
Oh,
Canada.
very cool.
Yeah, which is always
There
fun.
you go. It's so funny. There was at one point when we were talking, you said one specific word, and I was like, huh, I wonder if she's Canadian. I didn't know for sure.
Yes, yes,
Confirmed.
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 There I
That's
am.
awesome. Okay, cool. And then the last question would be a piece of advice you'd give to a young mom.
Yes. It feels hard to say what I would say. Let me see.
That's fair.
Definitely just the encouragement of it will get easier. You will feel like yourself again. You will have space again. Like I think in the first bits, or at least maybe that was for me. That's what I would tell myself when I have a second baby. just because it can feel pretty full on and intense the first little bit, but just remembering like, oh no, like it will get easier. And that would just maybe help me or others to relax into it a little bit, kind of relax and trust that everything will be okay. And definitely sleep training. I'm a huge proponent of sleep training. I know, I think we were talking about this, that when you get sleep, it's like game changer. It's like, I don't think I had a rational thought until my son was sleeping through the night.
Yeah, that's so real. Yes. Oh, good words. Well, thank you so much for doing this. Again, I'm like sad it's almost done, but yeah, I again will put up the links for your shop and Instagram so people can kind of see what you're doing and get a hold of you if they have questions or whatever. But yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to do this with me. It was so lovely.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Let's see how you do. Thank you for tuning in to this week's show. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Lana. She is a gem, and you should really go check out the Adar Shop on Instagram. Like always, we'll have the links in the show notes. Especially if you're in the Redding area, definitely go check out her stuff. It's really sweet, curated, special pieces that are a great addition to any wardrobe. So. Also, if you've enjoyed this show to any extent, I would love to hear from you via review on iTunes. And if you need help on knowing how to do so, I've left directions in the show notes, so you can check that out. This is the number one way we can figure out what you like, what you want to hear more of. Also, it really helps get the word out. It's a super practical way that we can get some support and love and encouragement to other moms out there. So yeah, it would be amazing to hear from you there. Share with a friend, connect with us on Instagram and Facebook at Mommispace, MOMMI space, and to get updates daily on what's happening with our community, who's coming up the next week on the show, and past guests to get more information on them. So hope to see you there. Remember, you are loved, you are enough, and you're doing your best. See you, Mama. Walking little steps, fall and catch yourself, it's all upon it.